a lot of mediocrity in today's NFL.
Yeah.
I don't see the excellence that I saw in the past.
Why not?
And
why not? Why do you think that is?
I think the coaching isn't as good as it was. I don't think the development of young players is as good as it was. I don't think the schemes are as good as they were. I think the rules have allowed a lot of bad habits to get into the actual performance of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think the product, in my opinion, is less than what it's been. I think guys are competitive. Guys play hard. I look at a lot of players like Ray Lewis and Rodney Harrison and Ronnie Lott and guys that impacted the game in a certain way. And every hit they would have made would have been a penalty, and I your coaches complaining about their own player being tackled and not necessarily, why don't they talk to their player about how to protect himself, how to get rid of the ball, how to throw it, how to run out of bounds, how to get down, how to lower your pad level. We used to work on the fundamentals of those things all the time. Now they're trying to be regulated all the time. I think the offensive players need to protect themselves. It's not up to the defensive player to protect the offensive player. A defensive player needs to protect himself. You shouldn't ask the offensive player to protect him. And I think a lot of the way that the rules have come into play have allowed this. You can essentially play carefree, and then if anyone hits you hard, there's a penalty.
Hey, it's Victoria, and you are now listening to the Pass Rush Podcast with your host, DJ Clennon.
Welcome to the Pass Rush Podcast. It's your host, DJ Clennon, and I want to say happy Thanksgiving, happy Black Friday, happy long weekend. Whatever it is you're celebrating, enjoy that, and I'm glad that you're here, and I appreciate you for spending some of that time with me. So let's go ahead and get down into it. So we're going to talk about the mediocrity and excellence part. That part is true for all levels of football because you're not required to do the same amount of work that you used to get to the level that you want to get to. It's just not a thing anymore. Like it used to be, you had to put your nose down, you had to have your coach backing you, he had to be putting you out there, and if you worked hard enough, those opportunities would come. Not anymore. If you want to get somewhere, you got to do it yourself, get on social media, brand yourself, market. Those opportunities will find you because other people have found you and have echoed you out and out. And although the second one is better for the players, is better for their money, is better for everything for the player, 100% agree with that. But coaches are even doing it now. Like coaches, they brand themselves, market. They get opportunities, and because of that, the focus on the craft itself kind of takes the back burner because long as my platform continues to grow, I'm going to continue to grow regardless, right? And that's the issue that you kind of blur. They didn't have that back in the day where you had to have that type of market value as far as a brand to get opportunities. But that same excellence that's required for you to be a really good football player to get to where you want to go is gone. You can be a good football player with a great marketing. You're going to get the opportunities that you want. And eventually your skill can catch up to that and you can grow from there. But the best wide receiver in the NFL today is Tyreek Hill, and he went D2. And that's because he didn't have the same platform. If he had the same platform that he's built right now, back then, he would have probably been at Alabama or Georgia or something. But it's because of the platform building. So it's better for the players. But again, it's creating the mediocrity because you don't have enough time to build both up as much as you would need to. On offense and defense, it's really hard to ask for the other person to protect you, but that's where we're at in football today, where if I'm a defensive player and I'm hitting somebody, I gotta try to protect them as well as myself, and that's hard because football is so physical and you're going so fast sometimes, and you might be telling people on social media, oh, they didn't think about this, that, and the third. Well, football is not a game of thinking. It's a game of reactions, and you practice to react to certain situations the right way. You're not thinking about it because if you're thinking, you can't think and do something at full speed. It just does not work. So football players are being pulled back to be more so psychologists on the field. Okay, let me think about how I can make this hit and not get in trouble for it. And even if I do that, when they review the film, I still might get in trouble for it. Back when I was playing, you had to have your head on the swivel because somebody might crack back block you, and the crackback blocks were legal. And it taught me as a player to really love the game, because the first time I got crackback, I was like 12, 11 years old, and I was ready to be done with the sport in general until I realized, like, hey, I can't let nobody continue to get the best of me like that anymore. So because of that, you kind of grow from it. And then now at this point, you can't create any type of fear or anything. Like, to beat skill, you can be more physical. And now you can't even be labeled a physical player, because if you're labeled a physical player, that's more so a liability statement than it used to be an honor statement. If I'm on the linebacker end and a guy crossing my face in the middle and I knock him completely out within the 5-yard limit that you have to be as physical as possible, I knock him out, I'm still going to probably get thrown out the game, even though I followed all the rules that were set. I was just too aggressive.
I know the art of fight. I know the art of war. That's all I ever studied. That's why I'm so feared. That's why they feared me when I was in the ring, because I was an annihilator. That's all I was born for.
The best linebacker in the NFL right now is Fred Warner, but Fred Warner isn't feared like Ray Lewis, Zach Thomas, Patrick Willis, Brian Urlacher, guys like that were. He's just not. And he's still very skilled in his own right and the player that he's allowed to be, but he's not allowed to be a player that we've seen in the past. And then when you move on to regulation, that's the problem with it. Like, everything, you can't regulate everything that players want to try to do and still call it football. It's not the same. Look at the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl used to be the best players versus the best players, and they having a real game, and you're going to see all the best players. They're going to play as hard as they possibly can. That's gone.
Shit, here we go again.
You have Pro Bowl skill challenges now where there's no substance in that. Like, just being really skillful, like, there's no substance in that for the game of football. Football is not about just how fast I can run a 40, how many footballs I can catch in this much time, or if I can throw footballs through this little hoop. Like, none of that stuff is what you watch the game of football for every Sunday for. You watch people go out there, put everything on the line for their team, for their city, for the county that they're in, whatever they're representing, for the college that they came from, and they go out there and they perform. Gone from the Pro Bowl. Same with like the NBA and their All-Star game. It's all kind of just, you're peeling back too many layers in order to try to be safe, but you're still losing, because if you really want to talk about making things super safe, you can talk about regulating, getting rid of turf. Turf has proven itself now over all these fantastic years that is not worth the sacrifice of maintaining the grass. Turf toe, Achilles tears, ACL tears are through the roof on turf, but not on grass, right? Because of those regulations, you got the hip drop tackle being a thing now. The hip drop tackle used to be, back in the day, that used to be a scared tactic. If you let the person pass you and you grabbed them from behind and pulled them down, you were labeled scared. Now that's just the normal way to tackle people, because you can't hit them. If you hit them, you might get labeled a dirty player, or too aggressive, too physical, too much of a liability, whatever the case may be. Those things are gone. And because of that, I just feel like football is way too soft, too regulated, and we got to do something about that. But I want to know, how do you feel? Are you a former player? Are you a player now? How do you feel? Do you think the game is too soft? And let me know in the comments below. Happy holidays again. This is your host, DJ Clinton, from the Pass Rush Podcast, and I just wanted to give my take. I'm out of here. See ya.
Up and I shake the room.